Hi guys, we all have them, things that we perceive give us our mojo on track. I'm a terrible tinkerer and have made changes on my sim racing journey along the way. So in this episode, I thought it'd be nice to go back through what I've purchased, made or repurposed in order to make the most of my sim racing. I won't be going over the core components, but have previously done long-term reviews on both my wheelbase and my pedals. As a VR racer, I never thought the Stream Deck would be of much use. However, I found it great getting things loaded up without having to reach to my wireless keyboard. It's still a bit of fumbling around sometimes, but when I fire up Crew Chief, Heusinkveld Smart Control and the sim of my choosing without having to navigate menus, that certainly speeds up my getting to track and also reduces the need for me to have to close down or tab out of the sim again because I forgot to change something. I'm sure pancake or triple users can get even more value out of this thing, but I'm happy to have it in my life and my rig. I've lumped these wearables together, but I find them equally important when it comes to consistency on track, especially when talking about endurance racing. Back when I started to race at the end of 2020, I didn't wear gloves or boots, but then I was also using entry-level gear. As I moved to a load cell pedal with more realistic pedal faces, I found that long race distances started to hurt my feet. This is obviously far from ideal if you have several hours of long stints ahead of you. Gloves probably improved my driving the most out of the two things though, with the added grip provided by them reducing my deft grip enough to help me better feel what the car was telling me. When I set about building the wind simulator, I wasn't sure it was worth the effort and the expense. I'm glad I've been proven wrong though, with it being a great way to keep cool in the summer and giving a new level of immersion, especially in open wheel racing. Wind steering and that full blast down the straight are certainly something to be experienced. If I wasn't in a VR helmet, I'd probably have to turn the effect down or suffer from some serious dry eyes during a long race. One thing that sim racing misses out on for the most part is that full body experience. Most racers are still having to rely on wheel feedback plus what they see and hear. Now a few are lucky enough to have full motion platforms, but that costs an arm and a leg. My 4-point base shaker DIY project was probably one of my first for the rig, and it's still on there for good reason. It adds a nice level of immersion, feeling the track texture, gear thumps and curb rumble, but also allows me to feel when the car is locking up, sliding, or if the wheels are spinning, giving me a better idea of how to react to those kind of things. When I accidentally damaged a cable during my recent tidying, I suddenly felt something was wrong, and then I had to quickly fix it so I could race again. It isn't my wife's best friend, but it certainly is mine. Back when I was on a single widescreen, I really struggled to hit corner apexes. I tried things like track IR and that worked quite well, but when it went wrong due to strong light coming in from the outside, I was completely blind. Instead, I moved to VR and haven't looked back since. I was suddenly able to see where I was going and also have an amazing immersive experience. Whilst the previous accessories I can fairly easily adapt to my driving without, if I found myself without a VR headset, I would have to adapt my driving and my vision. I also would struggle to race in the sim cupboard, which only allows for a single 27-inch wide screen. I did think about adding my homemade button boxes and rumble pedals in here, but you know what? I actually ditched the button boxes during my spring clean, and whilst the rumble pedals are a nice touch, they aren't game changing. I'm going to be redoing both these projects using different approaches, which will hopefully add these projects to my must-have list. I'm also not mentioning the flag light projects. This is perhaps for more subjective reasons though. The strip lights I stopped using a while back. It was a nice little experiment in controlling a third-party light remotely, but it lacked the fidelity of a small controlled lighting cluster like I used in the Matrix. The Matrix I still use, but I don't get a huge amount out of it due to me racing in VR. I have some ideas on how to introduce these elements into my racing though, so watch this space for something that might just be a little crazy. For many of you who frequent this channel often, you might not be totally surprised that I'd probably not survive without VR. However, if this list gives you any food for thought, then it is a win in my book. I thought about talking about only my DIY projects here, but in truth that'd only tell you part of the story. I've had a lot of success with my base shakers and wind sims, but my first button box I probably cheaped out on too much. The buttons didn't feel great, and whilst it did serve a purpose for a while, it made me desire a directional pad on the steering wheels even more. In fact, now I won't consider a wheel that doesn't have those things. Now, if you've enjoyed this run through of things that I don't think I could race without, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Please continue the conversation in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys really can't do without in your sim rig. Don't forget to support this channel by hitting that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, it's goodbye for now.